Alright, hello and welcome to Commonplace Binder 101. We're going to be looking at a quick look through my channel journal. So this is my Commonplace Binder. It's basically a commonplace book, and yeah, it's a binder. So that means no index, and we don't really need page numbers because everything can move around. At the beginning, we have a content section, and as this is a quick look, I should probably show you what that looks like. So all we do is look at the front, open it up, and there we go. We've got our content section. Now, just like the back here, our outline, I included a little bit of color. So now we can see when one month ends and another begins, but it's a very small amount of color, and you would probably add more than that. So this looks rather old and dirty, and that's kind of because it is. This is from March 2024. That's a little old. The last time I updated this was September of 2024. So that was not exactly recently. And so if you want to click away right now, feel free to do so. The point is, I update the content section when I create a new section. So I'm making a video right now, and the main purpose of this specific binder is to help me make videos. And so how does it help me make videos? Well, it tells me to brush my hair, you know, little comb action, set up this thing, add a little thing on my phone so I know relatively where the camera is. You can see the finger moving around, and the reason for that is because I add a little piece of paper right next to my phone. Makes it a lot easier to see. But I've been talking about this a lot, and I didn't really show the inside of the binder, and this is a quick look through the binder, so we're going to pick this up, and I'm going to do a little cut here so I can zoom inside. So we go to the content section. We can see that it says May 2024, making a video. At the top, this says March, so obviously we need to go a lot further. Now, as we're paging through, we can see this says April 2024, which means we're very close. And look at that. That's May 2024, making a video. Because I change this section often, it gets a cover page. Now, this doesn't look the cleanest it could possibly look, but that's why you can redo it. And that's one of the benefits of having a binder rather than a book. You can find out, oh, I don't have enough space. Or I kind of screwed up the order, or I need to cross something out, and then you can just go on to the next thing. So on the right-hand side, you can see more of the same thing. On the left-hand side, you can see I cross something out because I only use one side of each page, and then I cross it out, and I turn it into scrap paper, which can be used later on. But that was a quick look through part of one section, and if you want to see more, you should probably check one of my flip-through videos, which I believe I have one of that came out a few weeks ago. And if you want to wait until the end of the Commonplace Binder 101 100 video playlist, then yeah, just wait until the end of the year and you will see the entirety of this in its fully updated form. So picking up the binder over and over again and having these little breaks is kind of interrupting the flow. And when you're working on a binder or a book, you probably don't want to do that constantly. So a nice thing to do is have some water or some other beverage near where you are. Of course, you're probably going to have to get up to use the bathroom, and if you have a beverage, you might need a coaster, you know, something to put under your drink so it doesn't screw up the table. So now that we've gone through all the blue, we can get on to the yellow now. This is very exciting because this is the first time I've had colored note cards, so look at that. Yeah, so you might think this looks like junk, but that's okay. Because there's a lot of junk in the binder, there's a lot of junk in every book, and what is junk to one person is not necessarily junk to another person. So one way that people start commonplace books or commonplace binders is they just throw a bunch of stuff in, because they don't know what is important, and people tell them to just grab whatever's important, so they can either do the thing where they don't do their homework at all, and the teacher's like, why didn't you do your homework? And the kid's like, I didn't know the right answer, so I just didn't fill it in. Yeah, basically, you gotta put the junk in, because even if it's all garbage, it's all trash, that's your opinion, and so if you need to show something to someone, you kind of need to prove your work, and so even if there's a lot of stuff going on up here, you kind of need to like prove it, which is really annoying because that's more of a, hey guys, look what I did, rather than actually committing something to memory or using something with your brain other than memories, because, you know, this can store information. A computer can store more. And if we're talking about the entire internet, well, that can store a lot. So it doesn't make sense to use our brains just for memory. We should probably move some of the non-essential memories into a commonplace book, commonplace binder, you know, Zettelkasten, whatever you want to use. Doesn't really matter. The point is you actually use it. So you need to look at it, at the very least, occasionally. But this note is mostly here because the way I created this title was from this note. And if you want to know more about that, you can check my 470 thumbnail playlist thing. It's kind of a mess. Basically, I went through the data on everything people had done for commonplace books, and I decided to present that in a more manageable way as commonplace binders. Yeah. So some people basically show their diary to the entire internet. I'm not going to do that. So you can ask, but I don't care. So I do like when people ask things. That's very nice, but I'm not going to show an actual diary entry. This is a demo because I've done this sort of thing more than 30 times, which is kind of insane. But, you know, for reference, it is over the course of like a decade, so it's not as crazy as it sounds. And I didn't always have internet access or other things that would make using a computer possible. So if you got a diary, you can add some entries. If you have a logbook, you know, captain's log, whatever you want to call it, you can put in entries which are related to that thing or are somewhat irrelevant, but to you they make sense because sometimes you just need to put stuff in there. Mostly, it's supposed to be important, so you remember it. You're supposed to be able to grab it quickly. Because if it takes you like 45 minutes to figure out what your password is, if you wrote down your password, at that point, you should just have a different password. Because that's too darn complicated. If you say that to your diary, that's fine. But if you are eventually going to show your book or binder or whatever else to someone, you probably don't want to include that in an entry, especially if you write it out character for character. When it comes to quotes, you probably want to include the entire thing. And properly attribute everything. Say, this person made this thing, I am going to, you know, pay attention to their work in the future, pay attention to it right now. And some quotes are very good for easily saying whatever you're supposed to say. So I would use one right now because I am rambling. So on to watercolor. What does watercolor have to do with this? Well, other than the fact that this is colorful. Nothing. So basically, when someone makes a book or binder, it's not really supposed to look old, dirty, and grimy like this. Normally, it's supposed to look super pretty because, well, it's important. And so if the important thing looks terrible, well, I'm sure you've seen bad handwriting before, so I don't really need to explain that. Health. Now, assuming you don't have a dust allergy, and whenever you flip through this, you like screw up your senses. This sort of thing can be quite healthy because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world all the time. And so one easy way to deal with all of that is to write it down. And one way to have my monitors turn off in the background is to not do anything for a while. But the main point is that if the monitors turn back on, and I'm going to need to edit so much of this, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and if you don't know how to process all of it, if you don't know what's going on, if you need to verify that what actually happened, then it's good to look back at this. Now, the things aren't going to change a whole bunch, but sometimes the wording of certain articles will change, or certain things will sort of be removed from places on the internet, which is really weird. One thing I like to look at is the titles of old videos on popular channels that frequently change their titles. Because sometimes the titles become way longer or way shorter, or they're more focused on a specific aspect of the channel. And that can be quite interesting. But I don't know if the healthiest thing to do is to frantically check YouTube to see if everyone's titles are the same. Has reality changed? I don't know. But sometimes what I like to do, instead of mindlessly scrolling, is to go back and look at videos I found helpful in the past. Now, unfortunately, I don't do this a lot anymore, and so I have spent all of the time that I would be spending on old videos which I enjoyed on YouTube Shorts. So that is not great. It's really not, because I don't learn anything from those, because the shorts are very short. That's kind of why they're called shorts. So hopefully when you're writing stuff down and you are mixing it around and shuffling it and maybe even showing it to someone, you will be able to figure out what's real or not in the way it's important or not. And, you know, maybe you'll learn something. I hope. But anyways, this is a hybrid system because I don't just have a binder. I also use my computer because, wow, it's really difficult to copy paste using my hands and a pencil. So, yeah, if you have a digital system, you can do a whole bunch with that. Like, I don't know, sending it to someone, or saving it in multiple locations. Because, for example, if the house burns down or the house gets flooded, this is gone. Like, all of this. I don't know if you can see, but that's a lot. Oh my gosh. Imagine losing all that work. So one thing that some people do is they print out their stuff. Like, they'll write it on the computer and then they'll print it out, and then they'll just edit it like a teacher grading a test and turning it all red. Hopefully not all red. Hopefully you get a perfect score every time. But I assume you've seen when some people don't get perfect scores before, and so that's the same general idea. But yeah, this was a quick look through my commonplace journal. I meant to say channel journal. So this was a quick look through my channel journal from the Commonplace Binder 101 playlist. Let me know what you thought about the different colors, with this being the channel title and this being the title up next. So, yeah. This was about the... Oh, my phone is downloading an update. That's new. So, this was about the physical analog version, Commonplace Binder. But if you want to know more about a digital version or just a hybrid system, recommend you check the next video. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.